All right, something I recently learned and didn't know, but now I do. So did you know that it's against the law, like a violation of the U.S. code, to put a living person on U.S. currency? That has been the law of the land since 1866. You see, that year, Congress voted to put the late explorer William Clark, of Lewis and Clark fame, on the 5-cent bill. The Treasury official overseeing the effort, a notoriously scandal-ridden civil servant named Spencer Clark, well, he put his own face on the bill. Apparently reasoning one Clark was as good as another. Congress did not like that, as you might expect. It's the sort of thing that emperors and kings do, not democratic republics. And so they passed a law barring living people on coins and bills. The sponsor said to do otherwise was derogatory to the dignity and self-respect of the nation, adding, "I would like any man to tell me why his face should be on the money of the United States." Well, today, the Washington Post reports that two Trump appointees pushed the U.S. Treasury to design a $250 bill with Donald Trump's face on it. Now, the director of the Printing Bureau, a 24-year Army veteran named Patty Solimene, pushed back, pointing out it was both illegal and impractical. She says she was then abruptly reassigned from her post at Treasury, writing the next day in an email to colleagues that she was leaving with a heavy heart. She added, quote, "The buck stopped here." Alex Wagner is an MS Now senior political analyst, host of the Crooked Media podcast Runaway Country, also the author of How the Hell on Substack, and it's great to have you here.
It's great to be here.
Fun little history lesson there.
I did delight in that history lesson, actually. It makes a lot of sense. That guy had a lot of cojones.
That is really wild, right? I mean, I guess in the day before, like, Instagram, he's like, who's going to know?
Like, 5-cent bill.
Who's going to know?
Of course we're here. Like, this is perhaps the least surprising thing ever, that this president, this foolish president, is focused on ballrooms and putting himself on $250 currency, which will get you, what, a gallon of gas in 2027?
Ding, ding, ding.
And has leading this effort at the Treasury are like an election denier and a former Kansas GOP chairman who clearly have no idea the way currency works.
Right.
Like, at one point in the Washington Post article that broke this, they're like, these guys think you just print up a bill and put it in an ATM and bing, bang, boom. It's a multi-year process that needs to have congressional approval. And I got to say, Chris, I'm not very confident in the Republican conference, but the fact that this bill was introduced in February 2025 and has gone nowhere.
That's a great point. Well, it's that, and it's also like one of the other interesting things about this era, right? When you're getting these stress tests, you know, like grand juries. It's like, oh, wow. It's like, you read, it's like, yeah, it's so cool that there are people who work in the Treasury doing this who say no. Like, and there have been a lot. There really have. There's been such like cravenness sort of the top of American society, but every day you read some new of like some
civil servant,
like quiet hero,
not putting their face on the bill, but instead can I say though, this thing may not pass, but Trump is clearly preoccupied with like being a great man of history. The Atlantic, Michael Scherer and Ashley Parker had a great piece on this, how he sees himself in the vein of Julius Caesar and Napoleon Bonaparte and Alexander the Great.
Yes.
All of whom I think could get the Strait of Hormuz open if they put their minds to it. I see him more in the mold of Nero, but we'll move past Italian history for Roman history for a moment. I do worry. I'm reading Ben Rhodes' new book, All We Say, and I'm very conscious of the way that historical narratives are malleable. And like, we sit here today and understand that this man is a monster, a malignant narcissist, and has an ego the size of, the Federal Reserve. And yet, history changes. I mean, memories fade.
Let's talk about who's on the $20 bill, who is a malignant narcissist.
Exactly. And
responsible
for genocide.
Who's responsible for genocide.
And I do worry that the arch, if it gets built, or the ballroom, or the reflecting pool, I mean, maybe not the reflecting pool, but all of this stuff is permanent. These changes are permanent. And it does what Trump intends it to do, which is, in the long lens of history, it establishes him as a man with a foothold in the presidency and does not give the details about just how appalling that presidency was.
Yeah, I think you're right that like there's such a fight right now for the legacy, and he thinks he can win that battle through sort of sheer physical like construction.
Yes.
Michelle Goldberg, who's just sitting here talking about how in Ukraine, when Yanukovych fled, they turned the presidential mansion into a museum of corruption.
Right.
And I think that if the ballroom does get built, you got to do something.
It should be a processing center for newly arrived migrants. That's my view. But can I also just say, it's also really essential. This is all being done under cover of the 250th, the semi-sesquicentennial of America. It is all the more reason for people who care about this country and our democracy to not let Trump co-opt patriotism, not make patriotism synonymous with jingoism and egotism, but to say this is a time for us to be patriots in the way that is authentic to our values.
And also, like, I want to celebrate, like, I love my country. I love America. I want to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the country. I just don't want to do it, like, bowing and scraping to him. And so this is a perfect example. So we've got this, have you been following the thing with the musicians who are going to perform? Yes. First of all, I literally this is one of those things, and this has become a cliche to say, where I first saw it, I thought it was a gag, and it wasn't a gag.
Welcome to 2026.
Yes, so they announced the names, and it's like, Young MC, by the way, went to my high school, the Commodores, Milli Vanilli, and I was like, bro, you're getting Milli Vanilli and Young MC to perform at the 200, America is maybe the greatest.
It's the 220th anniversary.
I mean, exactly. Yes, that's right. That's the 220th.
30 years ago.
It's 30 years ago, but it's also like America has produced some of the greatest musical acts of all time. There's a bunch around. Like, you can do better than this. Then after the list gets put out, one after another is like, we're not doing it. By the way, Milli Vanilli, I think one of them has tragically passed away. The other obviously famously doesn't sing, as was...
Which was the thing we figured out back in the day.
1989. And now they're all dropping out, and it's just like, it's just such a bummer, because it's like there is a universe in which we have an awesome...
Wait, Chris, you're okay. What's crazy to me is they picked Young MC and Milli Vanilli. All respect to Young MC and Milli Vanilli, but like, those were the artists you picked who you hadn't even cleared. I just figured those are the only people
that you could get, but then it turned out you couldn't get them.
That was your first choice. That was the first year. Those were the first asks. Again, much respect to these artists, but really, we are not celebrating the 220th anniversary. It's the 250th. It is a sign of the times that this man is still caught in the late 80s, early 90s, and everything around him, culturally and socially, is in the same time warp.
Paula Abdul.
But it is also reassuring that people say, you know, they perhaps said yes because they wanted, like you and me, to celebrate the 250th anniversary, and now realize they're part of a whitewashing of what this president is actually doing.
Right, exactly. That's exactly my thought. Was as I've been following it, it seems like there's sort of a combination of people, like maybe they didn't check with them, but other people I can see getting the ask, being like, do you want to be part of the concert that celebrates the 250th anniversary on the Mall? And be like, that sounds awesome. Yes. And then what happens is, as with everything, it's happened with like the hockey team. You know, it's like he has to grab it all to his glory. There can't be anything that we as Americans enjoy that is ours collectively as a democratic society. It all has to be his. And so then it comes out and it's like, well, I don't want to do a Donald Trump concert. I wanted to do a concert. I want to do a concert for like all of us.
He believes he is the state.
It is
l'état, c'est moi. I am the country is me. It's my 250th birthday, which is why they're erecting, Christopher, an octagon for a UFC fight on the south lawn of the White House.
You know, sometimes you will see stories on social media which are birthday parties for children with parents with too much money.
Yes.
And you're like, you spent too much money on that to indulge whatever your 10-year-old boy's fantasy was about what like a yes day would be.
Yeah. And usually you can afford to fill up the gas in your tank when you do that. Yes. Ironically, this person has a country where people can't fill up their gas tanks, but the octagon goes up.
It goes up. Alex Wagner, what a pleasure. Thank you. Come back. Stay tuned in just a few minutes. Jen Psaki will be speaking with New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani. We'll be right back.